quite frankly, in 35 years of doing this, I haven't seen such a massive frontal attack by a person in a divorce, in a sense of she went and got a PPO to throw him out of his house that he owned prior to the marriage. She called and canceled all of his credit cards so that he had no access to money, cleaned out the bank account, and then also got a PPO so he couldn't go back to his house. That being said, at this point where we're at is my client purchased this home. The primary issue is exclusive use of the home. My client purchased this home in 2002. He's owned this home for 23 years. These people have been married for 2 years. She got a PPO to throw him out of his own house that he owned for over 20 years prior to the marriage.
According to his lawyer, she emptied all of his bank accounts and canceled his credit cards. And now she wants the house he purchased over 2 decades ago. That's a lot to deal with. As for the bank account and credit card, isn't that illegal? I'm sure he didn't authorize it, which means she acted without his consent, and that would make a separate legal case. When it comes to his property, I honestly don't even know what to say. It's hard to understand some people's mindset. I can't believe she genuinely thinks that what she contributed during those 24 months of marriage entitles her to half of a house he bought more than 20 years ago. It's just insane.
My client right now is currently getting disability. The defendant is earning over $200,000 per year as a realtor. Obviously, the equities are very clear in the sense that my client wants exclusive use of the home. He wants to go back to his house that he's owned for 20 years prior to the marriage. This person has been married to him for 24 months, managed to throw him out of his house and left him penniless. It's outrageous, quite frankly, in my opinion. But the gist of the matter is plain and simple. My client wants to be back in his house. We're requesting the court enter an order giving an exclusive use to his home that he owned for 20 years prior to the marriage. There are no minor children.
They don't even have children, yet she still believes she's entitled to the house he's owned for decades. This is a clear reminder of why we need to be careful about whom we allow into our lives, because sometimes we might end up regretting it. The truth is that anyone with common sense would see that this shouldn't even be a legal case. He shouldn't be in court fighting for a house he purchased more than 2 decades ago. It just doesn't make sense. This is also one of the reasons why many people choose to have a prenuptial agreement, as it offers a certain level of protection for the assets they owned before the marriage.
This is second marriage for everyone. I was asking my client, he thinks that it's his wife's 4th or 5th divorce. Unsure, but I'm guessing that's how she knew how to do all this stuff. We're obviously arguing about the PPO. The PPO really doesn't matter in a sense. Once he's back in the house, he really doesn't care whether he has contact with her, doesn't need to have contact with her. That kind of ends the issue in a sense with that. It's a non-issue, but he does want to get back in his house. The thought that you could take a PPO and do the PPO ambush before the divorce is horrific.
Right, Ms. Rehnquist.
Thank you, Your Honor. So first, there's a lot of things that were just mentioned that were not in the motion, but I will say the only part that we don't agree to, as I think you can tell, is the exclusive use of the marital home. She's been living in it for the past month. Frankly, we believe that financially she's going to be the one that ends up with it, or they're going to have to sell it, all this.
Of course it must be sold. Why not make some profit? That would be a fair return for all the effort and money she claims to have invested over those 2 years. What makes this even more fascinating is the confidence her lawyer displays when speaking about his house. She clearly stated that it should either be given to her client or sold. That was unbelievable. I can't even imagine how he must feel, sitting in that courtroom, listening to people talk so casually about selling a house they know nothing about. They have no idea how many years he had to save, the sacrifices he made, or the effort it took to buy it. Yet here they are, speaking as if it's just another asset, as if his ex-wife equally contributed to its acquisition. He's lived there for a long time, and by now it likely holds deep personal meaning. That's what they're ignoring. I have no doubt he regrets many things at this point, especially the decision that put him in a position where he could lose the home he worked so hard to buy. It's not a marital home. It was his house before they married. 24 months versus over 20 years of paying the mortgage, and she thinks she's entitled to get the house? In what world are we living in? Assets prior to marriage are not marital assets. His house before they got married, she needs to move. She can find a house since she is a realtor. Marital home, only married 2 years and she thinks she's entitled to his house? It's his house. How she is entitled to any of it is a joke.
And my client should not be forced to move out of the marital home that she very well may end up in. At the very least, we would like it for the pendency of the case, but at the very least, it seems like the plaintiff is disputing the PPO, and we have a PPO hearing in April. We would at least like to get through that and have my client remain in the home at that time. So we would request that she be able to stay, because the only reason we're here arguing this motion is because of his actions.
All right, thank you. Regardless of the PPO, the court has to look at, I did not hear it disputed that this asset, this home, was premarital in terms of Mr. Alt owning it for a significant number of years. And that's clearly a huge issue in this case, and this is a short-term marriage.
What the judge said could change everything. She confirmed the house remains a premarital asset, regardless of the bills his ex paid while they were living under the same roof. He's owned that home for over 2 decades, and they were only married for 2 years, which is another reason this case makes no sense. To be honest, I don't understand why the judge hasn't already put an end to this. She knows his ex has no legal claim to the house, so it would be completely reasonable to order her to vacate the property, as she has no right to be living in a home that belongs to someone else. I genuinely hope the ruling goes in his favor. It would be incredibly unfair for him to lose an asset he's had for so long, all because of a short marriage.
I also take note that Ms. Alt admits that she makes significantly more money than Mr. Alt.
And she does not admit that. I apologize. I didn't want to cut you off, but she does not make a significant amount more. There was 1 year she made a little bit more, but she's been taking care of him for the past couple of years after a car accident. She does not make a significant amount more. And actually the amount of money that she put in was dumped into the house, so that we believe that this house is not going to be a premarital asset at all. We're going to be fighting that.
How does the house suddenly stop being a premarital asset just because she supported the household financially while he was sick? So now the argument is that helping your spouse somehow entitles you to their property. I guess they just made a new law. If we follow that logic, it means anyone who contributes financially in a marriage automatically gains ownership of their partner's assets regardless. Paying a few bills doesn't give you the right to claim someone else's belongings. I really don't understand where they're trying to go with this argument. It makes no legal or logical sense. And honestly, based on how everything has unfolded and the type of energy her lawyer is putting into fighting for this house, it's starting to feel like this was the plan all along. Their level of persistence is something else. She's been divorced 5 different times. It seems like this is her job. The judge should have called her out within 1 minute. She's out, and that's it. It's his home, end of the day. She has no right to the house, period. The home shouldn't even be in the discussion. How can they possibly believe she deserves his home he's had for 23 years? It's outrageous. 4 to 5 marriages. She is a pro when it comes to getting a divorce.
Okay, all right. All right.
Now, obviously, Your Honor, we would adamantly disagree.
I obviously, that's what makes a divorce trial.
Exactly.
But we're here on a temporary order. What I will do is I will give Ms. Alt 60 days to vacate the marital home, and he will have exclusive use at that time.